Hey everyone, this is Adam Elenbaas from Nightlight Astrology, and today we are going to be continuing our exploration of the Tao Te Ching and looking at it in light of our study and practice of astrology. So today we're going to be looking at verses 49 and 50. We are over halfway through the Tao Te Ching now. There are 81 total verses. We're doing 2 per week. You don't have to have seen any of the previous verses in this series. And generally speaking, Wednesdays are the day of the week in which I try to share something, some kind of content that helps us to reflect on why we're doing astrology. What are some of our underlying spiritual motivations? It's helpful to remind ourselves of that so that we're digesting astrological information, alongside of our vegetables, so to speak. So that's why we do this. Before I get into it today, don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't yet. You can always I always like to read what you guys write in the comments section as well. So tell me what you think about today's verses in particular. You can always find a transcript of any of my talks on my website, nightlightastrology.com, where you can also learn more about my upcoming program, Ancient Astrology for the Modern Mystic, which begins, go up to the courses page, click on first year course when you get there, begins on November 12th. That's a Saturday. We meet on Saturdays throughout the course of a year, 30 classes over the course of a year. If you can't make it live, they're all recorded and kept on a class website for you, which you have perpetual access to. So you can really take the course and take as much time as you want with the course. You have 2 years within which to take the certification exam at the end if you'd like to. The course is meant to prepare people to read charts for other people, maybe even start your own astrological practice. There's a ton of support that we put into it. You can hear what some of the alumni have had to say about it. 30 classes, 12 guest teachers, interactive group forum discussions with a tutoring staff that answers all questions within a day. You can email me anytime. We have breakout study sessions in between major units in addition to those 30 classes if you need extra help or just want to ask questions that you weren't able to ask or as they pop up. There's tons of bonus material, suggested reading. At the bottom of the page, you can learn how to register. Early bird payment saves you $500 off. There is a 12-month payment plan. You can spread it out over the course of a year. And we also have need-based tuition assistance for people who might be on a tight budget and you want to study astrology, but you're excited about the program, but you have to work within a tight or very fixed budget for one reason or another. We know lots of people are struggling out there. And so we try to make sure that all of our programs are accessible and that nobody gets priced out of studying something as beautiful and sacred as astrology. Well, let's go and take a look at today's verses. I am realizing before I do this that I need to scroll down to the verses we are reading today, which are 49 and 50. So I'm going to read through them twice. I'll read through each verse twice, and on the second time around we'll pause between each verse and offer some reflections in light of our study of astrology. This is one of my favorite spiritual texts of all time. I couldn't recommend spending time with it each day yourself. It's a great thing to just pick it up, read a couple of verses at the beginning every day, sit with them, maybe read them again in the evening, and they are just they're full of timeless wisdom that are just applicable for every stage of life, every age, every kind of person under the sun can benefit from the wisdom of these texts. So on that note, verse 49, the sage has no fixed heart of his own. Those who look at him see their own hearts. Those who are good, he treats with goodness. Those who are bad, he also treats with goodness, because the nature of his being is good. Those who are truthful, he treats with truth. Those who are not truthful, he also treats with truth, because the nature of his being is truthful. The sage lives in harmony with all below heaven. He sees everything as his own self. He loves everyone as his own child. All people are drawn to him. Every eye and ear is turned toward him. Verse 50. Again and again, men come in with birth and go out with death. 1 in 3 are followers of life. 1 in 3 are followers of death, and those just passing from life to death also number 1 in 3. But they all die in the end. Why is this so? Because they clutch to life and cling to this passing world. I hear that one who lives by his own truth is not like this. He walks without making footprints in this world. Going about, he does not fear the rhinoceros or tiger, Entering a battlefield, he does not fear sharp weapons, for in him the rhino can find no place to pitch its horn, the tiger no place to fix its claw, the soldier no place to thrust his blade. Why is this so? Because he dwells in that place where death cannot enter. These are beautiful verses. Let's go back and read 49, and then we'll pause and reflect on it. The sage has no fixed heart of his own. Those who look at him see their own hearts. Those who are good, he treats with goodness. Those who are bad, he also treats with goodness, because the nature of his being is good. Those who are truthful, he treats with truth. Those who are not truthful, he also treats with truth, because the nature of his being is truthful. The sage lives in harmony with all below heaven. He sees everything as his own self, loves everyone as his own child. All people are drawn to him. Every eye and ear is turned toward him. I want to make a kind of radical statement and say that, well, this could be describing the qualities or characteristics of, say, a saintly or sagely person. I think that it also says something about the nature of the oracle itself, the oracle of the sky that we commune with every day as students of astrology. Let me just unpack that for you a little bit. The sage has no fixed heart of his own. Those who look at them see their own hearts. The sky has often been described as a divine mirror, a mirror that reflects back to us our own nature. So this verse starts off in my mind with a description of exactly what makes the oracle sage-like. The astrology as a practice, astrology as a star-gazing divinatory exercise. I'm looking up and I'm looking for the will or way of the gods in my everyday life. And just getting their commentary, their humor, seeing their dance reflected in my own dance. As a body, the gods have a sage-like quality. When we look at the heavens, we look and see our own nature in our own hearts. And it's so affirming to feel seen. And this is the quality or characteristics of a sage, but I think it's the same quality of the oracle itself as astrologers that we look to and why we keep coming back to it. Those who are good, he treats with goodness. Those who are bad, he also treats with goodness, because the nature of his being is good. If there is one thing I have heard all students of all schools of astrology and all astrologers say across all disciplines, as long as I can remember, it is that when you look at your life through the lens of astrology, you start to see this sense, you get this sense that it's all good. That doesn't mean that it's all literally good in a good versus bad, pleasant versus unpleasant kind of way. It's a bigger, broader, deeper sense of good. It is what it is, and it is good. There's a sense when you look at the heavens and you look at your life reflected in the heavens every day, that everything that's happening that we see reflected in the astrological planets and their aspects is not happening to us, but for us. It's so cliched. I know it sounds cheesy. Some people, it might even sound sort of trite, but it's true. That when you spend time stargazing with this symbolic language, you get this sense that there's this impartial beauty and goodness and truth behind every last astrological transit. When you see all the ups and downs of your life reflected in this language, you can't help but say, well, it's good, it's beautiful, and it's true. That those qualities somehow keep rising to the surface. Even if you're going through a dark night of the soul, with astrology in your life, I just see people again and again coming back to that place. It's got a place here in this cosmos. So good, beautiful, and true were also, for ancient Greek philosophers who were the progenitors of this star science, they were the actual substance of reality, goodness, truth, and beauty. So when we see something in the sky that reflects back our own nature and that inherently treats everything with goodness, truth, and beauty because its own nature is goodness, truth, and beauty. That's pretty special. It's pretty special that we can actually have a relationship with something like that. This divine, mysterious intelligence that is astrology. The sage lives in harmony with all below heaven. He sees everything as his own self, loves everyone as his own child. All people are drawn to him. Every eye and ear is turned toward him. Now, again, these are characteristics probably of some great teachers and saints in different traditions all around the world. But at the same time, it's fair to say that these descriptions are also astrological. I think it's easy to make that connection. The sage lives in harmony with all below heaven. He sees everything as his own self, loves everyone as his own child. All people are drawn to him. Every eye and ear is turned toward him. Why? Because he embodies the law of heaven. That's something that the Tao Te Ching and I Ching say everywhere about sages, that they are an embodiment of heavenly law. Now, when we think of the word law, we think of something punitive, strict, limiting, confining, antithetical to freedom, participation, mystery. But for Taoists, law is the mysterious intelligence of the universe, of creation, that keeps carrying everything along coherently. It is the sense that there is unity and intelligence and beauty behind everything, and truth, even the darkness. And a sage is someone who embodies that realization. And of course, people are attracted to that. But so does astrology. When you spend time with astrology, the sky itself becomes your sage. Verse 50. Again and again, men come in with birth and go out with death. 1 in 3 are followers of life. 1 in 3 are followers of death. And those just passing from life to death also number 1 in 3, but they all die in the end. Why is this so? Because they clutch to life and cling to this passing world. This is a beautiful description, and one that ancient astrologers would have loved. People come in with birth. Hey, that's what we're all about. We look at the moment of birth and we look at the divinatory or oracular significance of that moment. We interpret and intuit the meaning of signs and omens at the time of birth in order to understand something of this nature of life. But when you think about people who are into astrology, you generally have a couple of people. You have one are the type of people, and I include myself in these. These are things that we can all fall into, even if we think we're above them. It's easy to fall back into them. One are people who are attached to life in terms of outcomes that they want or expect or hope for, things that they hope to gain or acquire, experiences that they wish for to satisfy something. Followers of life. 1 in 3 are followers of death. Another type of client that I get every single day, and the kind of fear I can drop into myself is, will something bad happen? I'm looking at the astrology out of a sense of cosmic or existential, like dread or anxiety. And so I look to the heavens because I'm a follower of death. I live my life in fear. There's people who live with desire. There's people who live with fear. And to be honest, most of us are a combination of both. And then there are those who are just passing from life to death, almost passively, like, I'm here, whatever. Not really participating, not enacting anything. There was a verse, I don't know, somewhere, I think it was in the book of Revelation, where John of Patmos was saying, Laodicea, you're neither hot nor cold, and therefore I spit you out. It was interesting about the city of Laodicea, because I saw it when I was in Turkey, is that it sits in a valley between a hot spring and a cold spring that flow down into the valley. And so in the aquifers or the city well or whatever it was, the water was lukewarm. And it was a distinct thing that John was therefore referencing in that saying about Laodicea spiritually. But this verse is kind of similar in the sense that it's saying there's people who follow life, there's people who follow death. In other words, there's people who live with great passion and desire. There's people who live with great fear and anxiety. And then there's people who are just sort of passively moving along. We're not talking about the middle path. We're talking about, I'm just passing through and I'm kind of lukewarm about everything. So these are different descriptions of the journey of life. And he says, but all of those different types of people die in the end. Why? Why does everyone who comes into this world die? And it's an interesting distinction because he's not saying, well, if you do something, then you won't ever leave your body or you won't ever physically die. But he is saying that these type of people are not, he's implying that they're not really living because they clutch to life and cling to this passing world. Even kind of lazy passivity is a kind of judgment or decision we've made about the nature of this world and what kind of effort we should put into it. He goes on to say, I hear that one who lives by his own truth is not like this. He walks without making footprints in this world. Going about, he does not fear the rhinoceros or tiger entering a battlefield. He doesn't fear sharp weapons. For in him the rhino can find no place to pitch its horn, the tiger no place to fix its claw, the soldier no place to thrust his blade. Why is this so? Because he dwells in that place where death cannot enter. You see, even though the physical body dies, there's always been a sense in all great spiritual traditions all around our planet that immortality is a kind of consciousness that we can live right now. It's not something to be thought about as a prize to win after death or as an ascension to be made up a ladder into some transcendental world. I mean, fine, maybe there are transcendental worlds, maybe you can go to them too. But I love that what this wisdom is essentially telling us is that a sage-like person or one who's living in some kind of conscious relationship with this mysterious Tao walks their own path in the world. They don't make footprints, they don't cling to life, and the tiger, the rhinoceros can't find a way to sink their horn or claw into them. The soldier can't find a place to stab them because they're not attached. But in not being attached, they're also living a life. Yoga describes basically the same kind of consciousness. Now, to me, astrologers were describing the same thing too. For example, a verse that I've quoted many times before from Firmicus Maternus, where he says that for people studying astrology and for study of fate and fortune and seeing the ups and downs of life, they make their soul confident so that their soul is not tossed around by misfortune or fortune, and that they live a life free. So yeah, that state is the exact reason that ancient astrologers said we ought to study astrology in the first place. If you listen to the Grab series that we do, all the stories that we tell, in those stories we have there's this tremendous sense with astrology in your life that everything is both exactly what the event is and all the ways we describe it, and then it's as though it's also this beautiful impressionistic piece of art. And when we're shifting what we're doing by studying astrology is shifting our consciousness into a state of appreciation, so that every day while we live the life, which is fun, it's adventurous, it's terrifying, and it's beautiful, and it's all sorts of things. But as we're doing it, we can also simultaneously have an experience of it as romantically, imaginatively, artistically fulfilling, as well as true and beautiful and good. The kind of true and beautiful and good that are, which is why we need a word like Tao. It's a quality of experience that transcends the limits and words we try to put around it, as soon as we do. So. All right. Well, I hope that this has been a useful meditation for you today, midweek break to reflect on why we're here doing astrology. As always, I appreciate it when you like and subscribe, share a few comments in the comments section. Don't forget, new classes starting soon. I would love to study astrology with some of you. This class is focused very deeply on how to be intuitive and artistic with the traditional tools and techniques of ancient astrology, while also looking at the underlying spiritual and philosophical roots of the tradition, and also just figuring out what does it mean to create a divinatory moment, a moment where something is speaking. So the every session, every reading is so much more than just learning how to perform a bunch of techniques. It has to do with tuning into the moment itself and being like midwives for spiritual symbolism to speak out of the chart. We spend a lot of time talking about that in the program. Anyway, enough out of me. I hope you guys are having a great day. Take it easy, everyone. Bye.